It's time! And now, introducing your host, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of Boston, Massachusetts, presenting live
the Bostonian versus the Book. Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the Book.
Here he is, Matt Perrault!
Enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show.
Happy Thursday, Brigade. Happy opening day. What's up? Welcome into a new episode of the Bostonian versus the Book. My name is Matt Perrault. We are live on multiple channels. YouTube at Opening Line Media. Also on X at Boston versus the Book. But you know that channel is going to change very shortly on Monday as the name change is coming. More on that later in the program. We are replayed on Sports Grid TV each and every weeknight at 1 a.m. Eastern Time, 10 p.m. Pacific Time, and audio podcasts wherever you guys get your audio podcasts. We have a lot to get into on the program today. Really looking forward to today because we have obviously Major League Baseball. It's opening day. We will get into what happened last night. The debut of Netflix went okay. It wasn't perfect. It was but it was fine. The game was kind of boring too. Big win for the Yankees, 7-0 over the Giants. So we'll do that. We've got obviously a multitude of games happening as we are on the air here today across the country. Day baseball games for opening day are a must. We have to have these. I don't know why we play at night. We should play during the day. It's opening day. There are some different ballparks around the country. Weather could be a concern. Just got to be kind of aware of what's going on for the weather here in the month of March. Yes, it's March, and we're playing Major League Baseball regular season games. Okay, but we'll talk about that. Obviously, we've got the Sweet 16, right? We'll jump down the rabbit hole. We got 4 games today. We will get into those 4 games, picks and plays with just the picks on those 4 games. Take a look at what happened last night between the Celtics and the OKC Thunder and the Yankees and the Giants. We got some games to break down and an interesting survey for news of the industry, something we've been talking about quite a bit here on this show about the way the media covers the gaming industry and gambling and sports gambling in particular, about just how negative the media coverage is at all times about gambling and how there is clickbait going on like crazy about what is in these articles versus what the headlines are reading with these articles. But a couple things just to start the program with. A reminder that we are changing. The name will become Pushing the Odds coming up on Monday. Our friends at BetCris Arizona, the title sponsors of this show, not going anywhere. Only the name is changing. That is it. Everything else is staying the same, in particular with you guys in the Brigade. Reminder to go and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Opening Line Media, at Opening Line Media, youtube.com/Opening Line Media, for all the new stuff that's coming. There's more than just me and Pushing the Odds. Episode 4 for The Coach's Edge with JY is out at the moment today. Came out this morning. Phil Martelli, the former St. Joe's coach, is Coach James Young's guest. He's awesome. I watched it this morning. Coach goes crazy. Coach Martelli is a guy that I have covered, worked, talked to, interviewed for years. This is a tremendous conversation. It's out right now on Opening Line Media, at Opening Line Media on YouTube, to go and watch it. Highly recommend it. After the program's over, go check it out. Phil Martelli, a lot on the NIL world. He is not holding back on his displeasure about where we are currently in college basketball. If you remember, his son, Phil Martelli Jr., is the head coach of VCU. He could wind up at NC State because Will Wade's going back to LSU. And one of the thoughts is that maybe Phil Martelli Jr. goes from VCU to NC State. So watch how that unfolds coming up here in a couple of days for that. But the BvB ATS contest returns tonight with the Sweet 16. There are 5 entries remaining for nearly $2,000. These are the 5 entries that are left. We'll see what they pick. Do we get past today, or do we have a winner crowned tomorrow? It is winner take all. These are the 5 selections left. The reminder of the contest rules: you can't pick the same team twice, and you must pick the team to cover, either as a favorite or as a dog. You must pick a game tonight. Of the 8 teams playing against the spread, you must pick that coming up here for tonight. So really, really excited to see how that plays out tonight. Do we crown somebody a champion? And if we do, I do want to get feedback from you guys as we go forward, because I want to do that again, but I want to do it for the NBA playoffs. And we got to kind of figure out how to do it for the NBA playoffs. It's not as perfect of a bracket, clearly, as what we have here, but that was fun. I mean, watching the picks and how many people are getting knocked out and how difficult this is, it's different, right? I mean, most survivor pools have tons of people available, and maybe you prefer that, right? Maybe you prefer hanging around for a long time. Maybe it makes more sense for you as a player. You would prefer to have more options and be around. But I like survivor pools that, get going pretty quickly, and, you get whittled down pretty fast, and then you see who winds up winning. If we get down to 2 or 3 players after today, it is up to the players whether they want to chop or not. You do have that option. It's not enough money that I would not be contemplating chopping personally. If I was one of the 3 remaining players and entries, I wouldn't chop. Like, go to the end, see what happens. It's not, with like circa millions. Circa Survivor, we're talking about millions of dollars. Yes, 100% chop that thing up. Make sure everybody gets a good chunk of change. You're chopping up 19, it's 1970 something, it's 1925 or whatever it is from a total perspective. You're chopping up, okay, fine. You're turning $25 into like $650. That's not bad. Or $620. It's not bad. But I don't know. I wouldn't be in the chop category. I would be let it play out, see what happens, and see who wins, because it's more fun that way. So we'll see how many players are left after tonight. We'll see. I'm glad you had fun, Ish. That was fun. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hopefully we'll get to do it again and go with it again from that. So we'll see. Yeah, Sonic is pointing out we're playing with some stuff, guys. Visually, camera angle wise, we're playing with some stuff. Okay, so visually, we're kind of seeing what works and what doesn't work here for the next couple of shows as we roll. Let's start the show like we do every day. Opening line being brought to you by our friends at Huel. Let's make some Major League Baseball projections, picks, and thoughts for 2026. It is the opening line being brought to you by our friends at Huel. We're going to go through these odds being presented, obviously, by our guys at BetCris Arizona, but 2026 Major League Baseball projections. If you guys haven't gone and checked out Huel yet, these guys have been with us for a bit now, but this 15% off offer will end at the end of the month here for us in the month of March. You can get 15% off your first purchase at huel.com/BvB. It is high protein, high fiber, 40 grams of protein per meal, 27 vitamins and minerals. It is gluten-free. It is vegan. They have 2 different types of options for you: the ready-to-drink shakes, which are in a bottle, or the powder, in which you can make it yourself, either in a shaker or you can make it in a blender like I do. You can put fruits and vegetables into it if you would like to increase the nutritional value of it, or you can just grab the ready to drink, which can give you 40 grams of protein when you're on the go. Check out huel.com/BVB to save 15% off your first order at huel.com. Okay. I am super excited for Major League Baseball. Okay. It's great to have it back yesterday. Netflix is going to take some time. Okay, we'll get into it in a little bit with Netflix, but I think we got to take some time with Netflix. But fine, we're going to put out games on multitudes of direct-to-consumer streaming platforms all over the place, right? Like, this is what baseball, all sports, is going to be. So you got to check, is the game on Peacock? Is the game on ESPN? Is it games on Netflix? Like, where is the game? If you are a fan of a big market team, a high-profile team, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Red Sox, if you're a fan of one of those teams, like, get ready for massive frustration and trying to find where your games are and what time the game starts. It's going to be a different type of Major League Baseball season. We'll see if that winds up working. I don't really know how we sit here on March 26th and we don't make a case for the Dodgers to win the World Series for a third consecutive time. I wish I could tell you that they're not going to. I think this is the year where the tide is going to turn against the Dodgers. I think if you are a Padres fan or a Giants fan, you have hated the Dodgers since birth. But I think this is the year that the country is going to start to get annoyed with the Dodgers. I don't know how as we sit here to go, okay, let's bet somebody else to win the World Series. Like how? I mean, they're plus money. You get $2. It's 2-1 on the Dodgers to win the World Series. I know it's going to be difficult. I know it's a marathon. I know multiple things could happen. I know Ohtani could fall down the stairs like I did and break his leg. I mean, there's a million things that could happen in baseball that would lead to the Dodgers to not win the World Series. I just don't know how we approach this year with their roster and the money they're spending and adding guys like Kyle Tucker. I don't know how we sit here and go, yeah, the Dodgers are going to lose. Like someone's going to beat the Dodgers. Like, huh? They get Edwin Diaz. Like we forget, like they got the best closer on the market that was available. They got the best hitter on the market that was available to go along with the greatest player of all time, to go along with all-star after MVP. Like it is a ridiculous roster. Like there's no other way around it. The Dodgers are a ridiculous roster. So I cannot advocate. I cannot predict that anybody else except the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. I hope somebody else does. I just don't know how. I just don't know how anybody else except the Dodgers win the World Series. So what do we have to do? We got to go find other bets. We have to go find other things that make sense. I mean, maybe you bet the Dodgers, you bet somebody else to win the pennant. Like maybe you bet the Mets or the Phillies to win the pennant. But even the Dodgers, they're basically even money. They're even money to win the pennant. 6.5-1. The next closest bet is the Mets at 6.5-1. The Phillies right behind there, the Cubs, the Braves, and the Brewers. I mean, in a 7-game series, who the heck is beating the Dodgers? If they're healthy, if they have their typical arms and bats, I don't know how. I wish I could come up with a scenario that I could easily go, here's how you beat the Dodgers. I don't know. I mean, power arm after power arm coming out of the bullpen, maybe. I mean, great starter after great starter, I guess so. Great lineup with hitter, after hitter after hitter. Your lineup, no matter what lineup you have in Major League Baseball, it's not better than the Dodgers. That's it. So are we all playing for second place? I mean, this is where betting comes in my mind, because in a lot of ways, I think we are playing for second place behind the Dodgers. So how do you beat the Dodgers? I have no idea, except as gamblers, we can make money in other markets to give us some intrigue, some interest throughout the entire summer. So I think the Brewers are worth your attention for 2 bets. I think the Brewers to win the NL Central, and I think the Brewers to go over their win total. I got 83.5. BetCris Arizona is now at 84.5. I like my number better at 83.5, but 84.5 I think is okay as well, because I like the Brewers to win the division. Now, I'm not knocking the Cubs, but I do think the Brewers are going to have a very good year again. I think they could win 90 games again. They won, 97 games last year? And I think the Cubs, well, I don't think there's any value. They're minus 101 to win the Central. I like the Brewers over on their win total, and I like the Brewers to win the NL Central at plus 288, nearly $3 to go ahead and do that. I think people are sleeping on the Brewers just a little bit because they lost Freddie Peralta, and then they made a couple of trades. So they traded Caleb Durbin to the Red Sox. But I like their young arms. Jacob Mizorowski, I think, is just going to get better and better and better. He's an absolute flamethrower. Woodruff at the top of the rotation is very good. I like their bullpen arms a ton. I think they'll have enough offense. I will say this, though. I wish this news didn't come out today, because this is not what I wanted to see. That is not good. Wachurio on the IL with a fractured hand suffered during the World Baseball Classic. He's going to miss 2 to 4 weeks. Now, it's a long season, so it's not that big of a deal to have him miss the month of April, but I don't like that. I don't like that I bet on the Brewers to go over on their wins and the Brewers to win the division, and then the Brewers wind up having one of their best players, one of their best young stars be out, who played really well in the World Baseball Classic, to have him break his hand during the Baseball Classic, getting hit by a pitch. And we find out on opening day, oh, by the way, he's going on the IL. Nah, don't love that. Don't love that for that. Yeah. Joel says, hold my money for 6 months for $2. No thanks. Look, there's a couple different ways of approaching futures. Okay. And I understand that people don't like betting futures because they don't like having their money be tied up. I get that. I don't like my money being tied up either. But that means you have to bet enough that it makes sense for you. Okay. So I tell people all the time when they complain about unit sizes or they complain about futures, and like, I think you just have to, if you like the bet a lot, you just have to be comfortable with how much money you're putting down. You know, I tend to kind of go a little bit I'm more aggressive in the futures market than I am in any other market. So I'm betting normally 5 to 10 units on futures. Like I'm betting way more than I normally do. I talk about it on the Daily Juice. I just say 1 unit because I don't want to get people in trouble. But that's how, and I hedge off of it. I use that position. Like you've seen me guys, we've talked about it before. I'm doing it in, with basketball as well. But I like to take a position at plus money and then work off that position. And the same thing happens when it comes to win totals or to win the division. When we get towards the end of the year, you have this position where you can play off of it. So let's just, for fun, let's say your unit size is $10. I think you have to bet $50 or $100 on that future. You have to do that in order to make it worth your time. So then when it comes to the end of the year, you're then playing off of it and you got a nice score that you can potentially land. So that's what I like to do for that. Not everybody likes that. I get that. But that's why when it comes to futures, I don't think you can bet, $1 to win $2. That's not enough for a bet that's going to go 6 months. I get that rejection. I get that problem and pushback. But that's how I tend to be way more aggressive with the futures market, because you have so much more wiggle room when it comes to what you're playing with. So I like the Brewers to go and win the Central and to go over 83.5 wins. You can call this a homer pick if you would like, but I don't think that it is. For the Red Sox to win the AL East and the Red Sox to go over 86.5 wins. Okay, you might go, wait, Matt, the Yankees are way better than the Red Sox. Well, I think right now they're way better, but that's a 3-to-1 return on the Red Sox to win the AL East. And we're already seeing injuries for the Yankees. We're already seeing the fact that there's a lot of pressure on Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge went 0 for 4 last night, struck out 4 times. There's a lot of pressure on him to have a big season this year. And the Red Sox have a lot of young talent that needs to step up and play really well. But Wilyer Abreu was unbelievable in the World Baseball Classic. And if he can continue that, I mean, the Red Sox, we talked about it. The Red Sox dominated the World Baseball Classic. Like, go through the teams that were successful, and the Red Sox had players on those rosters who were consistently contributing. Roman Anthony being one of them, who had a really good World Baseball Classic. But the Red Sox had Whitlock pitching. That was Garrett Whitlock, who was really good. You have Garrett Crochet, who goes tonight. You got a stud pitcher. Sonny Gray coming in as the right-handed veteran. And then you pick up Ranger Suarez to be a lefty that is a really nice complement to Fenway Park and to Garrett Crochet. They have the best closer in the game in Aroldis Chapman. And if they can get guys like Marcel Meyer, who's going to start at second base today for the Red Sox, if they can get him to perform at the level they think he's capable of, I mean, they've got help in the minors. They've got minor league talent that is waiting to be called up. They've got depth at different positions. They have an incredibly talented outfield defensively. Now, maybe not offensively, but Jared Duran plays really well in the World Baseball Classic. Played really, really well in the World Baseball Classic. Ish says, I wouldn't mind some Orioles action there either. That's not a bad bet either. If you look at the odds for the Orioles, that's a wrong one. Where's that? There we go. The Orioles at 4-1. Blue Jays went to the World Series last year. I mean, I don't mind the Blue Jays coming in. They're just behind the Red Sox from a price perspective, but obviously that's a team that lost Bo Bichette, and we'll see what happens with what direction that they go offensively after last year's incredible run all the way to the World Series. The American League, I think, is wide open. I think you can make cases for a bunch of teams that could wind up winning the pennant, and everyone's going to talk about the Yankees, but if they underperform, BH is asking, does Boone get fired? Yeah. I mean, Yankee fans wanted him fired after last year, and now he's back again, and it's rinse and repeat. It's going to be the same refrain coming up from Yankee fans all summer long. Like, we're going to have a lot of fun. Me and my fellow Yankee friends in the media, we're going to have a lot of fun. And I never know like what my future is with Sports Grid as to how much hosting I'm going to do for the summer. But generally speaking, I do go on and I'm talking to my Yankee fans, friends who are in the media. And I'm sure you guys know who I'm talking about, the people who love the Yankees, and we end up fighting all year. And most of them are like, yeah, we hate Aaron Boone and we can't stand Aaron Boone. So I think there's real value on the Red Sox here to win the division and to go over on their win total. I think they win 90 games. I was talking about this yesterday, but I'll say it again. I really do believe that there is some bias in the market against Boston sports teams. Hear me out. You're going to go, what the hell? Hold on. Listen. The last 4 seasons, I have bet the over in the win totals or 3 of the 4 seasons. Well, I bet the Patriots to get to the Super Bowl, and they did. I got them to win the Super Bowl, but they got there, and that enabled us to play off that 16-1 with the Seahawks. But I didn't bet it, but the last 4 years, the last 4 seasons, the Red Sox last year, over win total. The Patriots last year, over win total. Celtics this year, over win total. Bruins this year, over point total. I'm just saying, like, these numbers are depressed because I think people are so sick and tired of Boston winning that they're betting the under and they're keeping these numbers down. It's a wishful bet. It's hoping the Patriots were going to suck. It's hoping the Celtics were going to really struggle without Jason Tatum. They hoped that the Bruins were going to fall on their face after the trades that they made and firing their coach, right? But look at where the Boston teams are. They are all overachieving. So again, I think this is the Red Sox who have a number that's far too low. If it doesn't start with a 9, I was like, okay, we're betting the over, because I do think they're going to win 90 games. And I know people go, what do you look at the rotation? They may win games 3-2. They're not going to win like the Dodgers when they win games 15-1, but they're going to win a ton of games because of the arms that they have on that roster. Now, injuries factor into all of these bets, all these wagers. But I think it's really interesting to watch to see how these numbers for the Boston sports teams, how you can bet them. And look, don't do it because I'm telling you to do it. I'm telling you to make money on it. Like, it's not a support of those teams. I'm just telling you that there's money to be made right now by looking at these depressed numbers in the market and people underappreciating the talent that are on these rosters. It's going to happen again next year with the Patriots. You're going to see a depressed number for the Patriots, or a number where people think they're not going to be that good. You're going to see 8.5s, 9s from a win total perspective for the Patriots. And they're going to come back and say, this is because of the roster. It's because of the schedule. All these excuses are going to be made. And I'm going to go bet over. Bet over on the Patriots. Bet them to make the playoffs. Bet them to win the division. It's because there's this New England sick to death of the 4-sport team, idea in the market that is enabling you as a player to go and take advantage of that, to go against the grain, because everyone in the media is saying the Patriots are going to suck. So many people in the media are talking about the Red Sox and how young they are and how they didn't add a great bat, and how it was such a big mistake that they allowed a guy who played third base for them for a single season to allow Alex Bregman to walk, and how significant that's going to be. I admit I wanted Bregman back from a leadership standpoint more than anything, but I don't think the Red Sox are going to be dramatically different offensively because they don't have Bregman, because Bregman was hurt for a big chunk of last year. So I think there is value there. Now, on the other side, unders. Who do I like to be awful this year? I think you have to begin with 2 teams. The LA Angels are going to absolutely blow. They have no farm system. This is such a awful story for Mike Trout. I mean, the fact that this guy is stuck on this roster with this team up against that division, it's not even just that the Angels don't have any talent. It's that they're playing in a division that is really on the rise. The Rangers, I think, are going to be good this year. We know what the Mariners are. They're the odds-on favorite to win the pennant. So you've got that. And the A's are going to be better this year. The A's with Nick Kurtz and company, they got a lot of young talent. They're going to play in a launching pad of a ballpark in Sacramento again. The A's are going to be difficult. This is not going to be just a walk in the park. You know, the A's are not the Colorado Rockies, okay, which is the other team you could bet the under if you would like, that I haven't bet because it's so damn low. 57 is ridiculous. I don't know how you bet under, but I think you could still probably get to the under for the Rockies with 57. On principle, I feel like you bet the over on the Rockies just because it's so damn low. But 70.5 on the Angels, they're not winning 70 games. Like I cannot wrap my head around the idea that the Angels win 70 games. And the Marlins are going to be awful. I mean, they're at 72.5. The Marlins have two good pitchers in Perez and Alcantara. Okay. I'll give you that. But their entire roster, I read this morning. This is crazy. Get this stat. Their entire roster, what the Marlins will be spending on their entire roster in 2025 would make them the 10th most compensated player on the New York Mets roster. 10th. You take every player on the 40-man roster for the Miami Marlins, and that entire group would account to the 10th most compensated player on the New York Mets. To give you an idea of how far back they are in terms of monetary compensation for their players. And I think Perez gets traded at some point. I think Alcantara probably gets traded at some point. It's unfortunate. I think it stinks to have teams that are this bad, that they don't want to compete, that they're not trying to be good, that they're simply just punting on the season. I wish that was not the case, but I really do think the Miami Marlins, you know, if Alcantara comes back and he's great, and if he's tremendous this season, okay, maybe this is a bad bet if they have a true ace. But I think if Alcantara is good, he gets traded. I think he'll have value and he'll get traded. A bunch of people have said, why aren't you fading on the White Sox? I don't know, to be quite honest. I don't know. See, this is ish. I agree with this. Homer take, White Sox will be better than people think. I do agree with you. That's why I didn't bet it. I had a bunch of people say to me, wait a minute. So if you're going to go ahead and fade the Angels and fade the Marlins, how are you not fading the Rockies and how are you not fading the White Sox? I just think when there is this overwhelming opinion that these two teams are going to be awful and you should be betting on the under, the books know that. And the number is, you know, seriously depressed and pushed down. And I don't feel like, let me look at the number for the White Sox at BetChris. I did check that this morning. Hold on. For the wins for the White Sox. It is, it's 67.5. I think they're going to be a decent baseball team. I think the young talent in Chicago, they're not going to be great, but I think the young players with the White Sox, I don't like it enough. I don't think they're tanking. I think they're just going to play the kids, and playing the kids is dangerous because the kids might get hot. And if the kids get hot, then you're in trouble and then your bet's dead. I'd rather bet a team that isn't trying, like the Angels. They're not trying. A team like the Marlins, they're not trying. Okay. The White Sox are trying. They're just playing a quadruple A baseball roster. So they're trying. The Rockies kind of the same thing. They're trying, but in my mind, the Marlins and the Angels are not. Like they do not want to win. They want to be pretty darn bad. So this is going to be a fun baseball year. Other than the Dodgers, I think we're kind of wide open. It's kind of the Dodgers and everybody else. The Pirates are already up 2-0 on the Mets here on opening day. That's tremendous. We're going to the bottom of the first inning for New York. That game is on Peacock, on NBC Peacock. We got a bunch of other games getting ready to start later on here. We've got a first pitch coming from the White Sox and the Brewers today, which is a great game to start. Red Sox are at the Reds. The Astros host the Angels later today. Diamondbacks and the Dodgers is the game of the day with Zach Gallen against Yamamoto. Again, Dodgers opening day laying $2.67 on opening day. against the Diamondbacks, which is on a bad team. Yikes. Oh, thank you, JC. 2-run dong from Brandon Lowe. All right, there you go. There's our first home run of today on opening day. So pretty fun stuff. Let's talk about what happened last night because there's a baseball game to get into. What happened last night? So the Yankees blanked the Giants 7-0. I bet the under in that game. I got lucky. I bet it live at 10-0 when it was 5-0 Yankees. I bet under 10. That came in. So I got under 10 and under 7 right, or push on the 7 and under 10 to come in on that game. Netflix made its debut. I think they need to up the information on the screen. I think that would probably be the number one takeaway, that people are used to seeing different things. The information that baseball fans are accustomed to seeing on the screen, Netflix did not bring that. They did have some cool interviews. They did have some different, types of presentation stuff with, Bert Kreischer out in the splash bay and miking up different players. It was okay. I would give it a C in terms of on that. I'd give it a C. See what's going to happen with that. Ish is who was the last team to get shut out? That's a bet, right? That's the books put that up. The last team to get blanked in 2026. Who would that be? Everyone bets the Dodgers, right? Everyone bets the Dodgers on that. So we'll see. I didn't see the first ever ABS challenge. JC from KC said they botched it. I didn't see that challenge. Was it bad? I watched a couple seconds of it and I was like, okay. I mean, it was all right. I wasn't in love with it. It's the Yankees. It's the Giants. There were other things going on last night for me that kept me away from watching the game. But I came away going like work in progress. That's going to be a work in progress. The Celtics beat the Thunder last night, and that was my favorite bet of the day yesterday because Boston was 2-8 over the last 10 games up against the Thunder. And after they lost 104-102 in Oklahoma City, and the comments from Jaylen Brown about SGA and getting calls, you knew he was going to be on one, and you knew Boston was going to lock down and try, they wanted to win that game. That atmosphere was awesome at TD Garden. Big win for the Celtics. Again, another team that people underestimated. Excuse me. I don't think you can underestimate Joe Mazzulla anymore. I think people need to stop doing that. People need to stop asking the questions about if the Boston Celtics had Ime Udoka, would they have more than one championship? What are we talking about? Joe Mazzulla is such a good coach and gets such disrespect because of his age. I really think it's because he's too young. They don't believe it. The Boston media started asking him. He went to a WWE event with Derek White, and the media was actually trying to make it into a story that how often do you see a coach who essentially is going out with an employee socially? How is that okay for you guys to go to a WWE event together? And is that something that should happen in the future? That is the stupidest question. Do bosses go out with people they work with all the time? All the time they go out with. Your friends, your boss can be your friend, but he's also your boss. So maybe the dynamic is a little weird, but there was nothing inappropriate about Derek White. And that's when he was asked, Joe Mazzulla was asked about it, saying, is it strange for a boss to go out with his employee socially? The answer from Mazzulla was you look at him as an employee. I don't look at him like an employee. He doesn't work for me. I'm his coach. We're on the same team. I'm the coach of the team. He's a player on the team. You're calling him an employee. Just a whole weird thing. It's just, good call, Chef Benny. Boston media can be the dumbest. You have an unbelievable coach in Joe Mazzulla. I absolutely love Joe Mazzulla. I love the fact that Brad Stevens, the second that the job opened at North Carolina, Brad Stevens came out and said, yep, not interested. I'm not going anywhere. Stop. Nope. Not going back to college. I love what I'm doing. I have a cush job. We're winning championships. I have no stress. I have no travel. I have no drama. I love my life right now. Everything is perfect. I'm not going to that pressure cooker in North Carolina and have people rip apart my life. Just look what happened to Bill Belichick when he went down there. No, thank you. I want no part of that. So he was quick to be like, get my name out of your mouth, North Carolina. I'm not talking to you. I have no interest in leaving the Boston Celtics. Why would he with the way things are going? So that was a big win last night. That was a statement win for Boston. Sign me up, Celtics, Thunder. Let's go to June. Let's play it out and let's see what happens. If that's going to be the new rivalry, if Jaylen Brown versus SGA is the budding rivalry in the NBA, sign me up for it. The Celtics haven't had a real hatred, a real rival in a while, because LeBron has bounced around from so many different places that, like, LeBron was that public enemy number one for a long time. If Boston can make SGA into public enemy number one, and that's the new look, Jaylen Brown versus SGA for the next 10 years in the NBA, yes, sir. Sign me up, because that is not Jason Tatum's MO. I love Jason Tatum, but he is not a fiery guy. He is not going to talk in the media. He's not going to talk trash on the court. He's not going to go dunk on people and show them up intentionally. That is Jaylen Brown. And Jaylen has begun to feel himself a bit about this new look attention he has gotten after Jason Tatum stepped out with the injury. And now him coming back, that version of Jaylen Brown has not changed. He is still super aggressive, and he is still talking in the media. And I am here for it. Like, I am 100% here for it, because that sells in the NBA, that sells in Boston. And Jason Tatum has been a little bit on soft is the wrong word. I'm not calling him soft, but his personality is not typical from the types of personalities that have worked in New England going back 40 years. Like, normally they fans want to see some real energy. They want to see some fire, right? When did the Tom Brady thing take over? When Brady started doing the let's bleep and go stuff before games and started to really talk in the media and started to get more personality. In the beginning, Tom was like this, "Aw, shucks, I'm just this kid from California" type stuff. And people would wonder, like, okay, can he really be successful here? That was the worry in New England. So SGA versus Jaylen Brown, let's go. Sign me up for that for sure. Let's talk about tonight's Sweet 16 games. Let's jump down the rabbit hole. By the way, just a heads up on all of these stingers and things, we probably won't have everything changed over for Monday. So we're probably going to be still using stingers. It says BvB, so don't get all up in arms about that. I'm giving you a heads up. Like, we built all of this stuff up over the course of 4 years. We're not going to redo the entire show in a week. There's just not enough time in people's days to get everything good to go. So come Monday, I'm like, that type of thing, that's not going to be that's not going to be there, so to speak. Like, that's not going to be changed over. Other things might not be changed over. This will be changed over. Overlay will be changed over. Intro will be changed. But I don't know how much else from a stinger perspective will be changed over. We'll do that over time as we go. The Rabbit Hole being brought to you by our friends at Rabbet app. Have you guys gone and checked these guys out? What is it? It's a true peer-to-peer sports betting app. You challenge your friends, not the house. You pick the odds. You pick the stakes. You pick the market. You create and share custom sports picks with your friends, and they're letting you use it for free with 5 free Rabbit Cash when you sign up with the code Rabbit5. They'll let you check it out. You guys can go and find that group chat, that smack talk, that argument you have made over years, including tonight's games in the NCAA tournament. You can go ahead and do that with Rabbit. Use the code Rabbit5 for 5 free Rabbit Cash here for us. Okay. Tonight's games. Let's go through them with the Sweet 16. Trends to monitor and trends to watch. Let's start with Texas and Purdue, the first game of the night. This trend information comes to you from our friends at the Action Network. Texas is a 7.5-point dog to Purdue. The total for this game at Betcris, Arizona is 147.5. From the first 4 to the Sweet 16, Texas beat NC State, BYU, and Gonzaga all as underdogs. Here are the other 3 teams to win as underdogs in the same 3 rounds. 2018 Syracuse lost in the Sweet 16. 2013 LaSalle lost in the Sweet 16. And 2011 VCU being the outlier, which went on to go to the Final 4. Sean Miller has been an underdog in the NCAA tournament a total of 15 times. His teams are 11-4 against the spread, and this year he is 3-0 straight up as a dog and 3-0 against the spread in the tournament. People are questioning, doubting Texas, namely me. I've been questioning and doubting Texas this entire tournament, and it has not worked out well for me. Sean Miller has been really, really good, and I mean really, really good on this. Nebraska and Iowa, they will play the second game tonight. Boy, oh boy, what to do with these two teams. I have a ton of history with both of these teams. So I don't know Ben McCollum. I've just covered him from afar. I know Fred Hoiberg, and I've covered him for years. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Fred Hoiberg. I hate Nebraska basketball. So it's a really hard world for me to be in because everything that I see in this game, I don't like. As a Creighton guy, Iowa State, and Nebraska, those are the three teams that you just don't like. And now one of them will wind up playing in the Elite Eight, which is the farthest that Creighton basketball has ever gone. And if it is Nebraska tonight, if they do wind up winning tonight, that's going to be all of my ammunition is going to be taken down to rip on Nebraska as to what they've done in the tournament. They are 1.5-point favorites in this game tonight. The total is a lowful 131.5 for this game. Nebraska has been dominant against non-conference opponents this year. This is not a non-conference game. This is a conference game, but 13-0 straight up, winning by an average of 17.2 points. Fred Hoiberg has been great in March, 34-20-2 against the spread. Iowa beat Florida as a 10.5-point underdog in the last round. The Hawkeyes will be the 7th team since 02-03 to play a game in the Sweet 16 or later off a double-digit spread outright victory. Those teams in the next game, 0-6 straight up, 1-5 against the spread. If you're playing the numbers tonight, you're taking Nebraska. Huskers, Big Ten. Ish says, call me crazy, give me Iowa money line. I'm not putting a dime on this game. I'm not touching this game. I have no idea what happens in this game. No thank you, no betting, nothing. I don't know what to do with it. I'm just going to watch it and see how it all plays out. Should be a great game. Arizona and Arkansas. Well, what do you do with this? Because Arizona is a monster favorite in this game, but John Calipari is awesome when he is a monster dog. 8 at BetCris Arizona. You would expect this number to be inflated a bit in the state of Arizona. Arkansas was a 9.5-point dog. It's now come down. In 85 total games in the NCAA tournament, this is John Calipari's biggest underdog number. It's still at 8, 7.5. UMass against Kentucky. UMass got killed. I was at school when that happened in 1996. Calipari has been a dog in this tournament 13 times, 9-3-1 against the spread, 7-0-1 against the number with Arkansas and Kentucky. And when the number is 4 points or more in the NCAA tournament, John Calipari is 7-1 against the spread. What about Tommy Lloyd? What about the North Carolina rumors with Tommy Lloyd? But he has been dominant. 8-1 straight up in the round of 64 or the round of 32. However, he has not broken through. In the Sweet 16 round, he is 0-3 straight up, and he's lost 2 times as a favorite in this round. So careful when it comes to Arizona here tonight. The trends are not your friend there when it comes to this matchup. And finally tonight, Illinois in Houston. In Houston. Oh, this is going to be brutal. The number is 2.5. Illinois is a tremendous basketball team. Brad Underwood coached at Stephen F. Austin. I've talked about that all week in the Houston area. Houston playing in Houston, and Texas plays against Arkansas in Houston. It's the 11th total time in the NCAA tournament that Houston will play a game in the state of Texas, 4th time in their home city. They are 7-3 straight up in the state of Texas, and they are 3-0 in Houston. I don't think Houston loses this game, but I have bet on Houston to win the bracket, so I don't need to bet this game, although I will watch it in game. I think this is a 3 or 4 point margin, 2, 3 or 4 point margin for Houston. I don't think this is a blowout. I think Illinois is going to be in this game. I think this is going to be a really fun game to watch. Probably pretty low scoring, but Illinois' offense matches up very well against Houston, and they can get free off of screens and knock down threes. If their 3-point shot is falling, they can knock out Houston. Like, they absolutely can. It's just going to be a home game environment. Like, everybody who watches Houston basketball, they weren't looking ahead to the round of 64 games. They were all buying tickets to the Sweet 16 at the Toyota Center. Like, everyone's been waiting for this. So this is a complete home game for Houston and a really tough environment for Illinois to walk into. Whoever wins this game is beating the winner of the Iowa-Nebraska game. Sorry, Iowa-Nebraska. You're not going to the Final Four. So this is the de facto South championship game. Whoever wins this winds up going to the Final Four in Indianapolis. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how this all goes down. I think we're in for an awesome 4 games. This is one of the best sports days for me of the year. You've got 4 games in college basketball, and you've got all the baseball all day long. I go from Red Sox baseball directly into the Final Four games all day. I mean, this is a wonderful day. This is a wonderful day from watching baseball and watching basketball. Let's make some bets here for today. Just the Picks being brought to you by the Betting Pros Prop Bet Cheat Sheet. Download the Betting Pros app and check out the Prop Bet Cheat Sheet for all your NBA player props. Also go to bettingpros.com/NBA prop to check it out as well. I just told you I'm taking Texas here. Okay. I think Sean Miller is doing an incredible job. I'm not sure Texas wins the game against Purdue, but I just think that this Purdue team isn't as good as they have been in years past, but they can win this game. Just feel like it's too heavy. 7.5. This has been such a dominant tournament for the favorites that I think it turns here in the Sweet 16. I think these games tighten up. I think people are going to start to pay attention to the spreads again. And I think we're going to see favorites winning, but not covering in the Sweet 16. I like Texas. I'm taking the points against Purdue at plus 7.5. Arizona. I'm going to lay it. I think it's time for Tommy Lloyd. I think all the trends about John Calipari, I just think this is a massive mismatch defensively for Arkansas. I don't think they can stop the size of Arizona in the paint. Arkansas is one of the worst defensive teams in college basketball for their defense inside the paint. And you're talking about one of the biggest teams, the most physical teams in college basketball with guards that can penetrate and get into the lane consistently. I just think it's a bad matchup. I mean, Arkansas might cover this by hitting a ton of shots, but I don't think it matters what Acuff does tonight. I think if he goes crazy, I think Arizona's comfortable with allowing Acuff to go off. And then I think they come back and they say, okay, one guy can score a bunch of points, but nobody else is going to hurt us. And then I think Arizona scores a ton of points. Ken Pom has this as an 87-point total here for Arizona tonight. I think they score in the 90s. I don't think this is not a bad shooting environment. Okay. This is not a bad situation in terms of where you look at Arizona and where they're playing in. These are NBA arenas. Okay. In Chicago and Houston, these aren't bad places to shoot. So I expect Arizona to go ahead and score a ton here tonight. I'm going over team total, Arizona over 87.5. Next play. I mentioned it. Houston to win the South. I already bet it. You can bet it now before they play, but this is essentially just a money line rollover parlay, right? To win the next 2 games. I don't think Houston loses tonight. I think they win tonight. But I know that if Houston wins tonight, they're winning in 2 days. Okay. They're going to Indy because I don't believe Nebraska or Iowa have enough to handle Houston's defensive pressure. Like Iowa probably could handle it better just because they play that style anyway. But Houston's just a much better version of what Iowa does with Ben McCollum. And I love Fred Hoiberg, but you were talking about a lockdown defense where a 3-point shot doesn't fall for Nebraska, they're done. So like that's how Iowa wins tonight. Like if you tell me Iowa wins because Nebraska can't shoot tonight, yes, 100%. 100% Nebraska can lose that game because they are such a make or miss team. 40% of their offense comes from behind the 3-point line. So if Iowa can shut down Nebraska shooting threes, Iowa can win. But then they play Houston and forget it. If they play Illinois, I think Nebraska can beat Illinois. If you're a Husker fan and you're trying to say, how do the Huskers get to the Final Four? The way they get to the Final Four is that way. They get to the Final Four because they play Illinois. And I think Nebraska can beat Illinois because they both play very similar styles. That game will score 1 billion points. That will be a lot of fun to watch in the regional final. But that's how Nebraska gets to the Final Four, is if they get Illinois. If they get Houston, forget it. It's see you later. It's not happening. You know, I hope if I'm a Husker fan, I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Chef Benny says he likes under in all the games except the over in Arizona. I think the reason why I'm worried about the over in that game, Chef Benny, is because I think Arizona is going to score a ton, and I don't know how many points Arkansas scores. So I'm worried. Like I played the over last night in the Dayton game, and Illinois State came out to such a crazy hot start, and they kind of just sat on it. Like I was doing physical therapy last night, and I was at my physical therapist's office, and the game was on, and I watched the entire first half and I watched the majority of the second half, and I couldn't believe the level of bricklaying that was being thrown up in the second half between those two teams. Like Dayton started off cold and kept themselves ice cold. Illinois State started out red hot, and then they couldn't score. They had a big lead. They didn't have to. So that's my worry about Arizona in the total, is that what if Arizona gets up by like 20 points? They may score 90, but like Arkansas might only score like 60. And then what happens? Like our 90-70 type final, then we're not going over. So that's my worry about that. So I like the team total for Arizona more than the over for the game, because I trust that Arizona is going to score pretty much at will against Arkansas. And I'm not sure on the other side how well Arkansas is going to score against the Wildcats. So that's why the number is 8. That's why it's really high. John Calipari has, as we talked about, he's been tremendous in this moment, and that trend's going to be talked about all day long. Everyone's going to mention how good Calipari is against the spread. He's my guy. The last time he was this big of a dog was when he was with my school in 1996. If you haven't checked, I'm not young anymore. Okay. So I turned 49 years old in a week. It's been a minute since John Calipari has been that big of a dog in the NCAA tournament. So I think there's a reason for it. Kentucky won and covered that game easily in 96. I think Arizona could very well win and cover that game easily as well. I'll give you a quick update here in Major League Baseball. The Mets have come to life. The Mets scored 5 runs in the bottom of the first. So did that game go over in the first inning? Was that number was 6.5, right? Paul Skeens has gotten ripped in his 2026 debut against the New York Mets. 2 1/3. He's out of the game. Paul Skeens did not get out of the first inning on opening day. Oh my. 5 earned runs given up on 4 hits, no home runs. So Soto had a single. Bichette had a sack, had a RBI, what was that, ground out? Polanco with a hit. And then Batty comes through with a 3-run single. No, 3-run triple. Oh my, off Paul Skeens. Yikes. That is not what you want on opening day. Oh, I've seen people take the Pirates team total under, and I've also seen people take the Pirates to win the division. I just stayed away from the Pirates going, I don't know, because what if Paul Skeens gets traded? Like what? And if he struggles out of the gate, that would be something to watch for sure, because everyone's going to blame the World Baseball Classic. Like, that's what's going to happen, right? Everyone's going to be all in on the World Baseball Classic, pushing that, saying, well, that's what happens. You put your star pitcher out there to pitch for the World Baseball Classic. He's out there. He's not ready. He didn't have his normal time with spring training. He didn't work out the same way. He comes to this season not prepared, and he gets ripped in his first start. Does not make it out of the first inning against the New York Mets. 5-2 Mets after one. My gosh. That is not what you want there. 5-2 for the Mets against Paul Skeens, and he has all 5 runs. Paul Skeens' ERA currently is 67.50. Give you an idea of where that is. That's not a typical Paul Skeens number from an ERA perspective. So only 1 inning, but ouch for Paul Skeens and the Pirates here to start opening day on 2026. Not what you wanted to have happen. Let's talk news of the industry. Also, a reminder as we get close to the 1 hour mark for the program, bonus time will be going away coming up here. We will not need it because I'm the one doing all of the editing now. So there is no need for bonus time. So we can just go until we stop. And then, bonus time, we don't need it. Although we may kick into bonus time at some point if there's something I need to get off my chest. But with me editing, I don't need to get all, I can say whatever I want. Like I can drop whatever swear word I want because I'm the one editing it. So that's the beauty of what we'll do here going forward on this. So cash the Skeens under 6.5 Ks. That's just mean. JPC, who bet that? Who bet the under? CG Sports is asking if Skeens is mediocre this year, does he get traded? I don't know. I think if he's talented, he probably, if he's Paul Skeens, he probably gets traded. If he's bad, I don't know. Maybe people think it was a fluke. Power arms. I mean, remember, we have seen everybody from John Smoltz to I don't know if it's Roger Clemens who said it, but so many people have said that Paul Skeens is going to have Tommy John surgery in the next couple of years. And they've said, hope that Paul Skeens is the anomaly, not the rule, because this type of arm that throws this hard, this much, this young has gone under the knife consistently in Major League Baseball. And if Paul Skeens goes and has Tommy John surgery, he may come back a better pitcher. He may come back a stronger pitcher, but his trade value is gone. Like it's just gone. He will be a Pirate for the foreseeable future. And maybe that's a good thing for the Pirates. Maybe they're happy about that. But let's hope, cross our fingers, that Paul Skeens is healthy. But so far, not good in 2026 for Paul Skeens. Maybe a fluke. We'll see what happens in the next start, but that's not great. There is a new survey that has come out, a self-funded survey, but still a survey that has come out, and it is now showing that gambling coverage is overwhelmingly negative in the media. This coming from the Gambling Public Policy Consulting, who self-funded this to go and find out and do research based upon what they are seeing in the media. Gambling coverage was the most negatively biased of all of the headline media that they covered in this survey. And it wasn't particularly close. Gambling articles scored a negative 48 on the bias scale that runs from negative 100 to positive 100, according to the study. Everything else averaged minus 15 in the media. Gambling was also the most slanted in raw terms, meaning even the articles that weren't openly anti-gambling had more spin than coverage of other vices. Then there were the headlines. Using an academic tool called linguistic inquiry and word count, GPPC analyzed the actual words in the headlines. They found that 57% of gambling headlines used, quote, persuasive-oriented language. Non-gambling vice headlines checked in at 39%. Meanwhile, objective, fact-based language showed up in 97% of non-gambling headlines, but only 85% of gambling ones. In short, gambling headlines are built to make you feel something, not learn something, which is what we have been saying, I have been saying, for years on this program about the way the media covers sports betting and sports gambling and gambling as a whole. The vice itself, we could see articles on alcohol. We could see articles on cannabis. We could see articles on all sorts of different vices. But when it comes to gambling, the clickbait nature of it is too profound to ignore, that we don't talk about things in the same light. It's not fair. It's not unbiased. It's almost always written from a negative perspective. And it was been highlighted. And the reason why this has become such a pervasive story in the media space, in the gambling space, is because of the article we talked about last week involving the gambler, the Mormon, who was given $10,000 by the Atlantic to gamble over the course of a single year. And as he was winning, he was playing conservatively and he was winning. He then, for some ridiculous reason, started to get cocky and started to bet tons of money. He tripled his bets. He was going from betting $100 a game to $500 a game. And then he wound up losing thousands of dollars. And thus the headline was, I lost myself. I lost who I was. I became a degenerate, right? Well, you were at one point, you were up, you were winning. You could have just stopped. You also could have just bet the $10,000 and stopped, because it wasn't handle. You were given $10,000 and you intentionally tried to lose it. The idea was to lose that money. The idea wasn't to make money on that story in the Atlantic. The idea was to lose that money, because guess what? If you wrote a story about how I bet for a solid year with $10,000 of the Atlantic's money, and at one point in time, he was up like $500. If you're up say, hey, I won $500. I turned all these bets into 500, and he stopped. If he stopped and said, hey, I bet the 10,000. No, that's not an article. That's not stories. That's not news. What's news is that sports gambling is deadly, dangerous, difficult. You're going to lose. They're out to get you, right? They're proprietary. They're stalking you. I saw an article today about how sports gambling is stalking players. I saw an article that came out yesterday in New England about casinos that are, according to the article, they are targeting Asian players, and they are going after Asian players in New England to get them to go gamble at their casinos. Like, it's overwhelmingly negative at every turn. It's unbelievable, Sonic. Sports gambling is bad. Then the news outlet runs an ad for Kalshi prediction markets. Yes, it's very true. It's very true. I don't know. I think that there is something to be said. I think we have to ask the conversation going forward about, are we all comfortable as gambling becomes more pervasive and more available around the world, around the country, that, like, can we admit that people like it? Like, are we allowed to say that? Are we allowed to just say people like it, people enjoy it, and people do it without having a big problem? Like, I've gotten into big arguments in my life, shocker, for a lot of problems. But one of the things that I think, for me, what I've gotten into the most with is, like, when people that I am in relationships with, and they have issues with, I like whiskey and I like cigars. I don't drink a lot. I don't smoke a lot, but I do enjoy them, and I do find them to be relaxing. I do find them. I've been smoking cigars since I was 12 years old. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying it because I've been doing it for a very long time. And people have asked me, do you think you will stop smoking cigars because of what happened with Dave? And I've said no. And they've said, hold on a second. So your best friend passed away after a battle with mouth cancer, and that's not enough to get you to stop smoking cigars? And my answer has been no. That's not my answer, because I truly believe in letting adults do adult things, and everyone knows the risks. Everyone knows the risks about gambling. Dave was a numbers guy. He was a risk guy. Don't tell me he didn't know the risks. He knew the risks. He knew what was happening. So, like, this whole idea about what happens with tobacco, or what happens with gambling, what happens with alcohol. Look, we live once, and I am a big believer in everything in moderation. food, sugar, fast food, beer, hard alcohol, whiskey, vodka, all of it, right? Whiskey's poison. Legitimately, alcohol is the only thing that we put into our bodies that gives us no benefit health-wise. Even cannabis has a benefit, a health benefit. Alcohol has no benefit, none. So when somebody was asking me this question, I said, so shouldn't I just stop drinking alcohol entirely? Because alcohol doesn't do anything. And I have alcoholics in my family who have had huge problems with alcohol, but no one's asking me about that. No one's asking whether or not I should be doing, should I be drinking anymore because somebody got behind the wheel and they died, or somebody had cirrhosis of the liver and died, or someone got sick with an illness because of their liver, because of, or their body, because of alcohol. So I just feel like when it comes to gambling and it comes to the media, there is such a clickbait angle to so much that goes into the coverage of what people do. And it's kind of like the way the UFC was covered in the beginning. In the beginning, every headline you would read about the UFC was blood, gore, nasty, violence. Who watches this? Who is attracted to this type of violence? This is a disgusting sport. How is this even called a sport, right? And now when you see headlines for the UFC, it's $7 billion company, incredible growth. The Paramount deal is incredible. Look at the sport. Look at the talent. Look at the technology. Look at everything that's going into the sport of MMA and the sport, what the UFC has done from a business perspective. So I'm wondering when would that happen with gambling? Like, when does that change over happen where people just say, okay, we know people watch the UFC. We know they're attracted to it. We know people gamble. We know people go to casinos. We know that they play the lottery. We know they buy scratch tickets. Like, we know people do this, and we know they enjoy doing this. And are there some people who have problems with it? Absolutely. Are there some fighters in the UFC who are going to have long-term health problems from getting punched in the head repeatedly by a 4-ounce glove? 100%. Without a doubt, that's going to happen. But we still watch it. We still go to the bar. We still go to the dispensary. We still go to do these things that are legal in America because we want them to be legal. We like to smoke cigars. I've never been a cigarette guy. Never been a cigarette guy. I don't discount, I don't knock people for, I don't like cigarettes smell nasty. I hate secondhand smoke. I don't like that. It's the worst part of being in a cigar bar is the secondhand smoke. So I never smoke cigars inside if I don't have to. It's always smoking it outside. But I can't tell you, I love grabbing a 2-finger of whiskey and going out with a cigar on my deck and hanging out and just decompressing, right? It happens probably 3 or 4 times a year, but I do it and I enjoy it. I like gambling. I like betting. I don't think that these are things you have to keep control of and keep track of. But I also think that most people want the right to do it. They want the option to do it. And we have shown through the market I live in that people like to do a lot of things, right? The vices that are out there, we have 24-hour drinking, we have 24-hour gambling, we have 24-hour cannabis, we have 24-hour most things here in Vegas, okay? I'm not saying every market in the country should look like the one I live in, because I wouldn't want it to, because there are dark sides, there are dangerous things here in Vegas, there are some nasty areas that you would not want your worst enemy living in. But there's also some really fun adult playground places that people really come and have a good time and really have life-changing moments and life-altering trips when they come here every weekend and have a blast. They come here to get married. They come here to get divorced. They come here to party. They come here to go on vacation. They come here to go on conventions. It's a lot of fun, and it's a mecca for a lot of people that enjoy this stuff. So I hope we do get to that point at some point where we kind of change over and not be everything so nasty and everything be so negative about the gaming industry. And now we got evidence that the media is overwhelmingly negative when it comes to reporting about gambling. Can't talk about it positively because God forbid you admit that people like to do it. Favorite thing about today. Favorite thing about today. If you are a sports fan, you are in heaven today. This is an easy favorite thing about today. Right now, we have one Major League Baseball game underway. In 1 minute, we will start the White Sox and the Brewers. After that, the Cubs and the Nationals, then the Twins and the Orioles. Then we go Angels, Astros. Then we go Red Sox, Reds, Tigers, Padres, Rangers, Phillies, Rays, Cardinals. And then tonight, we have the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. In late night for you guys, your get-right game in baseball is Mariners and the Guardians. Gilbert to the mound against BvB with a hell of a pitching matchup. That game on MLB TV. If you have it, I will be watching that game. I cannot wait to watch that. It's going to be awesome. And I'm super excited to see how this all goes down today. But it's a marathon, right? On the flip side, after watching day baseball, you've got 4 games to watch in college basketball that are all do or die, win or go home games, Sweet 16 games, 4 today, 4 tomorrow. Just an awesome, awesome day of sports, awesome day to bet, awesome day to hang out and just have multi-TV, multi-screens, quad box going all over the place to enjoy baseball and basketball here today. NBA and hockey, I'm sorry, the NHL and the NBA kind of get forgotten today, but you guys will have your moments later on in the springtime. You'll have some games to watch and some things to talk about coming up. Ish says, I convinced him taking a vacation to Vegas this year. I wasn't trying to do an ad, Sonic. I swear. I wasn't doing an ad for Vegas. I just think it was a deal. Yeah, that's a good point, Sonic. Oh, MLB TV is free for the first 4 or 5 days, right? I pay for it every year, but I know it's free for the first couple of days. So you can watch all these games. There's 2 things I pay for that I think are worth the money. MLB TV. Well, actually 3 things. MLB TV, ESPN for all the hockey games, and the Sunday ticket for the NFL games. Those 3 things. I buy the NBA package after the All-Star break. So I do have the NBA package, but if I don't have it, or I don't have a game, I'm not that angry about it. I love MLB TV. I love the convenience of it. I've been watching it since 2005, I think, right after the Red Sox won the World Series. I think it's almost 20 years that I've been a subscriber to MLB TV, and it's just gotten better and better and better. I'm lucky that where I live, I can watch all the Red Sox games as long as they're not playing on the West Coast, because the blackout rules are so stupid. MLB TV needs to get rid of the blackout rules. With all the collapsing of all the regional networks, we 100% need to get rid of the blackout rules for MLB TV, put everything on the streaming channels, everything on the app. We're paying for it, for goodness sakes. Give us every game. But then Sunday ticket also is just tremendous. So yeah, a lot of free options for MLB TV, and you might get hooked because I love it to flip around and watch different games. If you're on the East Coast and you're up late, you want to watch that Mariner game against the Guardians tonight, late night. That's a hell of a baseball game. That's going to be a lot of fun. Guys, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. We're back tomorrow. I forgot to mention that Adam Bjorn was traveling today. He will be on the show tomorrow to talk about the other 4 Sweet 16 games, recap last night or tonight, talk about tomorrow night, and then talk about the weekend as well for the Elite 8 games. He had a flight change today, so he was in the air during the show today. He'll be back tomorrow for a Friday conversation. It will be the last show as the Bostonian versus the book. We will close the book coming up tomorrow, and Roll Call Friday, the Friday. So if you know of a brigade member who maybe has drifted since Dave's passing or because they don't like me or whatever, I would love to see them come back and be a part of the show tomorrow. I would love to see us. We've never done it. We never got to 50. We never got every state dabbed. I'm going to try my hardest to do one by myself. It's why we didn't do it afterwards, because doing Roll Call Friday with just me is not going to be easy. So we'll try it tomorrow during bonus time. So it doesn't matter if it looks crazy, but the Roll Call Friday tradition will come back for one final show tomorrow, as we will put the BvB brand and the BvB logo. We will close it up and thank whoever enabled that name to pop into my brain to have it be the Bostonian versus the book, and come up with that. And then BvB, the logo and everything else. Tomorrow will be somewhat of a celebratory, somber day, but it'll be fun. So hopefully you guys will be here tomorrow, 1:00 Eastern time, for a special edition of the Bostonian versus the book, presented by Bet Chris Arizona.